Okay.
Hi there, folks. Hi, wildlife photographers. I'm your moderator, Yetmir from Albania, and today with me it's Emily from South Carolina, USA. Welcome, Emily.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Great to have you. As FYI, we recently started a new journey by opening a new group called Wildlife World Photographers. With the aim of connecting wildlife photographers around the world under the purpose of creating a community engagement among us as a way to learn about this genre of photography and ultimately promote wildlife conservation. So we are very happy to have this opportunity today to also meet Emily. I asked Emily to send me 10 photos. She has. So without further ado, I think we should jump. And,
Let's do it.
well, so essentially the idea is that we'll share the photos and you'll tell us your experience photographing them, anything you like to share. And from here, like here and there, I'll ask you maybe a question. So in some, we'll get to know another wonderful, amazing photographer.
Sure.
This time you. So it's fantastic. So
Thank you.
let's go ahead and share. All right. Okie doke.
All right. So this is the painted bunting, if you're not familiar with this bird. And they've actually just come back to the area.
Mm.
So it's a migratory bird, and they always come back like right around my birthday. So it's like a birthday treat.
Really?
Yeah, and so I actually took this photo. It was probably like 2 years ago,
Mm.
but it was in my backyard. And so they hang out, yeah, right in my backyard and all over my neighborhood. And so it's such a treat every year that they come because they're so beautiful, and it's like you don't know the beauty you have like right around you. Um, yeah, so I just love like the simplicity of this one, and just
And
it really shows off like the beauty of the bird, and all the colors of the bird. And
the bird is absolutely amazing. Also, you mentioned something that I think it's important. It's not neglecting the birds near us.
yeah,
I think it's
yeah,
cool to travel away, go places. It's great, but also
right.
just open your eyes around. It's amazing the opportunities that we have around where we live. So yeah, absolutely. Good.
Yeah. So
So let's jump on the second one.
yeah.
Okay. Oh wow.
Yeah, so this one is just as the sun was rising, and so
Mm.
this is a type of photography that I do a lot of backlighting.
Mhm.
And this is one of those moments that is like very hard to capture, where like the sun is just rising, and so you can actually get an exposure on the sun, because a lot of times, like if it's just like 1 minute later, then the
All
sun
right.
is like white. So yeah, so it's like that moment when the sun is just rising and it's just like any bird that's around, it's like, okay, I just need any bird in the frame so I can get it when the sun is exposed. So yeah, so this one was, just a goal, but it's just like that moment of that capturing the sun as it's rising. And yeah, so this like super moody,
Mm.
dark, and I just love kind of just that, yeah, just the mood of it and
Yeah,
the
absolutely. I mean, the
yeah,
atmosphere here, it's such it takes you and you just you can't stop looking at it. It's crazy,
yeah.
wonderful. But also, I think those important thing that you mentioned, waking up early. I see the
Oh
POV
yeah,
here.
yeah.
It's very carefully crafted, and everything is very thought of. And to come to that point, there is so much happening before that day. You went
Right,
to here. There's so much happening, which to you may be happening automatically now,
right.
but when you think about it, so many elements I see in this pictures that they are not random.
Yeah, well, I guess too, like this, this,
Mm.
this one for me is like, this is something that it's always like a goal. Say like, um, every time you go to the beach and you know that you're going for a sunrise, like it's kind of always like, will I be able to capture a moment like this? Because it's very difficult, and it's like to get that moment right when the sun is rising, and to have
Mm,
a bird that's there as the sun is rising,
amazing.
it's like it's everything has to align just right to get a moment like this, you know? Like
Yes.
I have
Yes.
plenty of shots either when the sun is setting or when
Yeah.
the sun is rising, when it's just the ball, you know, and there's no
Yeah.
bird. And
Absolutely.
I remember actually when I had just started photography,
Hmm.
like a couple of years ago,
Okay.
um, when I didn't understand like how to get the sun exposed properly. And actually, you mentioned Ray before we started the interview, and I
Yes.
had actually reached out to Ray. I was like, "How do you get the sun like to be yellow?" And he mentioned he was like, "You have to like have it just as the sun is rising. You have to be there to like just, and the atmospheric conditions have to be right as well. Like
Yes.
everything has to come together." And so like from that point on, because I had seen one of his photos where the sun
Right.
was, you know, yellow and exposed right. Um, yeah, so from that moment on, I was like, oh, this is going to be a
Yeah.
goal of mine to get it yellow rather than like, you know,
Mhm.
overexposed and white. Um, so
Absolutely.
just like from the process of learning and getting the timing right, and then just being there and working to get to a bird without scaring the birds, and, you know, learning all the techniques of, you know, how to
Absolutely.
get, you know, to the right spot and the right timing. Um, Everything just coming together right to get the shot. And um, yeah, and then yeah, just
Before we move to the third image, I like
yeah,
to give a shout out to Ray Hennessy.
yes,
Such a nice guy, by the way. Besides
my
being
love.
absolutely, you guys are so adorable, I must say, as well. But
Thank
he
you.
is such a nice guy. Like exactly you mentioned. Uh, you could. He's one of the guys that you just send an email and he will
Yeah,
respond to you. It's that
yeah,
was like and I
yeah,
also, so it's very cool. He is a wonderful, wonderful photographer and an amazing guy. So it's
yeah,
just
yeah.
a
I know
shout
this was
out
like
to yeah.
years ago, and
Okay, yeah.
we were just friends, and
Okay,
I was like,
right,
how did is that how did is that even the sun in your picture? Like, how
right,
did you get
right,
it yellow? And he told me like, yeah, you just have to be there, you know, right as the sun is rising. All the conditions have to be right. And then from that point on, it was like a goal for
right.
me to get a picture like this.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely, great. So I let's move on to the third
yeah.
picture. Cannot wait to hear another story.
Oh,
Oh,
so this
that's
was,
enough.
yeah, this was the same morning. So then you can
Mm,
see how like a few minutes later, as the sun is rising more, then
mm.
that the sun turns, you know, white as it's not that same moment that the sun is passing. But yeah, so then this was just a group of goals. But I really liked the kind of conditions of this morning because it was so cloudy. And it just looked kind of like heavenly to me.
Yeah.
Just like the atmosphere and then just the lineup of the birds. So I just
Yeah. So
liked the look of that.
you are here. Are you almost laying down almost
Yeah, yeah. A
completely
lot
here
of
at
the
this? Great.
times that
Okay.
I'm at the beach or in the marsh, I'm usually
Okay.
laying down. Yeah, to get that low perspective.
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
an incredible image. Also, just like everything, it's in the right place. It
yeah.
just feels right.
Yeah, I just asked them, hey guys, can you please?
Yeah, right. Can you just move it up? It's very cool. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an amazing moment.
Yeah, so this one is in Florida. So I've been to Florida a couple of times because we don't get the reddish egrets here in South Carolina.
Right.
So that was something that I go to Florida for, because these birds are so fun. And so they're kind of like similar to tricolored herons in the way that they feed, very like
Mm-hmm.
they run around and they jump. So this guy was actually, or gal, I don't know if it's a female or male bird, but I shouldn't presume. He was jumping, so he was feeding and he was jumping up, and that's what he was doing. And I just so happened to capture that moment, like of when he was jumping up. Um, and I mean, I like the way that of the sunset colors. And just to capture the action of the moment. But yeah, so that's what he was doing at the time. Yeah,
And very nice. I mean, this early morning light, which is often emphasized by many photographers. This is an
yeah,
example of why is it important, because you just
yeah,
get an amazing moments like this, and that warmth, that beautiful contrast behind it, really
yeah,
pushes it forward, and it really makes such a unique photograph overall. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's at the time of day. I guess I always am either usually there in the morning or in the
Mm,
evenings. And
right.
it's like it worked out for me too, because I work part-time, and so I usually work in the middle of the day anyway.
Mhm.
So it kind of works for me to be able
So
to
that's great, right? Because usually
things or in the evenings, and then I
that's
work during the day.
that's perfect
So
timing. That's when you
yeah.
usually don't photograph because the light it's
Yeah.
hard
The
and
light is harsh
perfect.
and it's perfect. It just
That's
works
great.
out well.
That's great. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Here's another beauty morning shot, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, this one was in the evening, I think. It was
Oh,
sunset.
okay. It's okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
evening. Same either one you can't,
Okay.
is good. But yeah, so this one was in the beginning too of when I had just like started getting low with the birds and the shorebirds. But yeah, so this one's Sanderling eating a jellyfish. I thought it was just such a fun moment, and just like at the beginning of my kind of journey of
Mhm.
doing the um wildlife photography, and just like such a fun moment of seeing that, because I don't see that often actually. So that's why I wanted to share this one. Just
It's
like a
a,
cute moment.
it is absolutely. And one something that you mentioned wildlife photography and something powerful about this photography, like many photographers, it's like their last stop or the first and
Yeah,
last. Like I know a lot of
yeah,
photographers, even Ray, for example, I know he was a
yeah,
wedding photographer and
yeah,
photographer, and a lot of other folks who uh, uh, photograph in different genres, but somehow they found a destination
yeah. When
almost.
you get to the
uh,
wildlife,
it's
yeah.
it's amazing. And maybe photos like this tell a story that we don't fully a picture that we don't fully see, but it's so powerful, this photography. There's so many things.
Well, I feel like it connects you
Hmm.
to something, like it connects you to something deeper, right? Like you
Hmm.
start to watch, you get kind of hooked, right? It's like you start to get connected more to nature. It's like you start, you have this connection with the birds, and then it's like you want to know deeper into their lives. And it's like
That's right.
you look at him and you watch him, eating the jellyfish, and then it's like you want to know more about the birds. And it's
Hmm.
like I remember, I moved to the marsh. Like, so I used to live still in Hilton Head in South Carolina, but I lived with my parents on a golf course.
Hmm.
And then we moved to the marsh. And so I started to see the herons. And it's just like I was more immersed in the nature. And it's like, then you want to learn more about the herons. And then it was even the backyard birds. Like I was
Ah,
watching the
yeah.
different, at come to the feeder. My dad asked me to change the bird seed at the feeder, and it's like then I watched them go to the feeder, and I started to take pictures of them at the feeder, and then I wanted to. Then it's like
Amazing.
you start to learn the birds. Like, oh, this is a titmouse, this is a chickadee, and then it's like it's like an addiction that grows because it's
Yeah.
like you have that connection. And
Absolutely.
and then migration happens, and then you start getting into like all these birds that come, and it's like I don't know, it's like you just feel that deeper sense of connection to earth, and it's like,
Mm.
yeah, so it's like I don't know, it's really
Absolutely. Yeah. It's like a
special.
never-ending journey of learning,
Yeah,
connecting, and enjoyment somehow.
right.
And
And then being able to like
yeah,
capture a moment of that connection.
that's right.
And then sharing it, because it's like certain
Hmm.
people, for the people that don't, do the photography, but then appreciate nature, um, that you can share those moments that you were out there and maybe saw something, and then to share it with somebody else, like that might not know about the birds that are in your
Hmm.
area, but be like, wow, this is a beautiful heron. Like I didn't even know this was in my backyard. So it's like another way to share about nature,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah, and help others
Oh,
appreciate it.
I
Oh
they
yeah.
absolutely do. Oh,
Oh,
it's
so
a
this
beautiful
was
shot.
last spring. So I was so excited. There were
Mm.
3 stilts in my marsh. That's like right by my house. And okay, so this is another backlight, one of the things that I love to do. And this is another thing that's like super particular, because there's only like very few, that the bokeh is golden,
Right.
you know, like it's for a very short period of time. Otherwise, it gets blown out and becomes like white, more white than golden. But anyway,
Mhm.
I was like ready to leave for the morning because it was so buggy because it was spring, like this time of year. Maybe it was a few weeks later. Um, and I was like sending a message to Ray, Jamin, and Brad because we do the wild combos, which we have tomorrow, by the way.
Oh,
But
good.
anyway, the YouTube show.
Great, great
And I
chat.
was,
Yes.
yeah, I was sending to them. I was like, oh, guys, it's so buggy and I'm just getting ready to go. And then all of a sudden, these stilts fly into the bar and I couldn't believe it because I had never seen one before. And I just was like, but you know, migrations, I guess they passed through by, and I was so shocked and so excited. And then it just so happened to like walk into the perfect spot. I was like, oh my gosh, this
Amazing.
stilt, and I get to have backlight with it. And it was just like, I couldn't believe it. I was so happy and just so excited. And yeah, it was just one of those moments where you're just like blissfully,
Yeah, this
you
is
know,
so unreal,
yeah,
so beautiful. But that's
yeah.
again the importance of light in that early morning. Everything needs to come, but you need to be
Everything comes
there, I
together.
guess. You
Yeah,
need
but
to
you have
be
to be
there,
there.
or you
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
be there. You need to have this knowledge again.
Yeah, because if I didn't
Yeah,
go, like I'm pretty sure the next day they weren't there, you know. So it's like if I
amazing.
wasn't
Yeah,
there in that moment, then you know, then I would have missed it. So it's like I don't know, just about
yeah.
sometimes it's just about being at the right place at the right time and you know,
I
knowing
I
to
I
appreciate the
heard
moment.
it. I heard it in one of the Ray's podcast when he mentions the fact that there is so much knowledge that you accumulate during the time that you photograph that
Yeah,
while it's happening almost instinctively, so it
yeah,
comes flawlessly to you. But I think it's sometimes important to discuss the intricacies of coming to this composition, to this uh, point that you can create, manifest such an image,
yeah,
because it's really like the bokeh, for example. You oftentimes see bokeh in front, in the back, but getting a bokeh in front in such a way, it's just really another thing. But again, it's just amazing. The
yeah,
knowledge, it's so depthy in this type of genre of photography, which I think it adds to the enjoyment
yeah.
of what we do. So that's great, great shot. Let's should we see another one?
Let's do it.
Okay. Ah, that's
Yeah, so this one
beautiful.
is a classic. I mean, the tricolored herons are just birds that I hang out with a lot in the marsh. Um,
Beautiful.
so I wanted to share, which right now they're in their breeding plumage. So,
Mhm,
which is just another fascinating aspect about the birds, how they change during
mhm,
the breeding season. Like right now, they have the blue um, in their beak or bill, however you
mhm,
say it.
mhm, mhm,
And their eyes just get like bright red. And so it's like I should have shared one of those, how they just transform
mm,
over from the normal season to the breeding season. And it's like
mm.
amazing how these birds are so transformative and just beautiful. But yeah, I just wanted to share this one because of the how he looks so beautiful preening his feathers.
I know
And
you
kind of
have.
just like that soft background.
I think you have many shots of this guy, girl.
Yeah,
Like
which
it's
this
so
bird.
cool. This, they are breathtaking, all of them. It's just that, and
Yeah,
also something about the beautiful colors
yeah,
that this heron have. It's really it's really amazing.
yeah.
Uh, oh, here we go. It's
Oh, this,
another
yeah,
amazing moment. Yep.
yeah. So yeah, he had a little crab there. There was a time, so when I was transitioning to starting to shoot manual, then
Mm,
I was trying to focus on getting action shots. And so this was one of those like times where I was trying to get the action. And it just so happened that I got like the crab and then the whole bird out of focus. So I thought that was kind of a
very
really cool
cool.
shot. Um, and that crab is so tiny, and I was just thinking about his last thoughts, kind of like, oh no, like just imagine seeing that heron just like as your last kind of
But
last
yeah,
thoughts, seeing this
again,
heron thinking
this
behind you.
picture makes another point of composition. Like these are the what makes this photography dynamic, in my opinion, the way, now this is completely another picture altogether, although the subject may be the same one as the
Yeah,
last, but the picture is completely another picture
right.
altogether. The focus, where your eye goes, and it's amazing.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Willet. So this one's at the beach. So just getting that low perspective, and this one was sunset, like
Hmm.
after the sunset colors, just um, shooting, low to the ground, and um, just kind of being surrounded by the birds and having him kind of look at you. And yeah, this was from a little while ago actually, but it's one of my favorite shots because it's just kind of one of those moments where I it's like one of those foundational moments for me of like a moment that I just like remember feeling just so immersed in the photography and just immersed
Hmm.
in the moment and just like enjoying the beautiful colors around me and enjoying this
Beautiful.
like the birds and the nature. Um so like it's just like a memory that I have and just yeah, I don't know
And
how to
it
describe it, I
does,
guess.
the picture itself, without that backstory, which I think is so cool when we hear about the what's happening behind the camera, right? When you hear
Yeah,
that's but also when you see this image, it's really depicts such a good emotion. Also, the photographer, like all the light, the cutting of the, I mean, the composition of the shot and everything. It's
yeah.
really impactful. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh yeah, this one. So this was really exciting for me
Beautiful.
because you can see behind there was some breath from the wood stork. I don't
Yep.
know if you can see that behind him.
Yep.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so not only was there's obviously the bokeh from the marsh, the golden, so but to see his breath, that was the first time that I ever had
Mhm.
like any kind of breath from a bird. So that was like I was so excited. And and this morning I had like woken up late and I was like, oh, should I go or should I not go shoot, but the marsh is really close. It's like a 2-minute walk. And so
Mhm.
I was like, I looked outside and it seemed really, that atmosphere was, kind of misty and really
Yeah.
beautiful morning. And I was like, all right, I gotta go. And so I just like changed and ran out. And then there was this group of wood storks. And yeah, so to be able to capture the breath, and I took some video too and saw the breath, it was just, yeah, it was a really special moment for me. So I was glad once again that I decided to spend that time in nature. And there's like this reoccurring theme of, whenever I go out into nature, I'm glad that I do,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
It's like I asked this friend of mine a question about what keeps your passion going with wildlife photography, and he said, to be honest,
Yeah.
he said, I guess you just need to be in nature and then just don't do anything. The nature
Yeah.
will take care of everything, and
Yeah,
it
exactly.
does.
Because then it's like you have
It's
moments like
you
these, and
have
it's
moments
like,
like this, and
even if you
yeah.
don't capture them, like, even if you miss the shot, even if you don't take your camera one day, just like having the serenity
Mm,
of the moment, hearing the sounds of the birds, just like being out there in the marsh, being out there, other than the gnats,
yeah.
the bugs biting or whatever, um, just being there, hearing the sounds of the ocean, whatever it is, just like letting nature kind of like be healing.
Mm.
Um, it's just so it's a wonderful thing. And like that's I think how a lot of us probably got kind of
Okay.
involved in it.
I agree. And something I wanted to say about this photograph, it's just it has such a fine line between intimacy of like with that breath and
Yeah.
also the environmental shot. So you just thought that's
Yeah.
such a beautiful, let's usually it's one over the other, I get, but this in this image to me is like the intimacy meets environment in such a harmonious presentation. And it's so lovely. Such a good job, wonderful
Thank
job in
you.
this. Very, very good. And I think this is our last image, so I'll come back to us here. And I'd like to end this interview by asking you your involvement with wildlife photography. You mentioned you having a talk show tomorrow, but I know you're involved with other things. You also travel. I think I followed you. You were with Ray in another place. I would love to hear about your involvement in such a way that can be an inspiration also for wildlife photographers. So we're like, what are other photographers doing around the world that it's different and cool about our genre of photography, which we are so much involved with?
Yeah. Well, Ray comes to here a lot, and we shoot together here, and we travel other places and shoot
Mhm.
together. But yeah, I mostly shoot around my area.
Okay.
I don't travel too much. So I try and keep it more local,
Hmm.
especially lately. But yeah, I guess just like trying to be respectful of nature everywhere that I go and keeping that in mind. Like yesterday was Earth Day,
That's right.
and trying to respect Earth, especially like minimize our impact that we have as photographers and just like as humans, because
Hmm.
just like knowing that the impact that we have, and just trying to keep that in mind, and just trying to share, like as photographers and as like with my community, I guess, like trying to share the beauty of what we have like in our backyards, what we have in our community to people that have like no clue. So I guess that's kind of what I try to do. Um,
That's cool. But like, for example, tomorrow you have a talk, you said,
oh, like what else?
with the guys. That What's that talk about? You guys,
Oh
I know
yeah,
you have a history with that. It's not the first
yeah,
time,
yeah,
right?
yeah. So
Okay.
I do. We have wild conversations.
Wild conversations. That's right.
Yeah, that's a YouTube show that's monthly,
Mm.
with Ray, Hennessy, Brad James, and Jamin Taylor. Jamin Hunter. Oh gosh, Jamin Taylor. Oh, he's gonna kill me. Um, and so that's on YouTube. And then we also have a podcast. I don't know if you know anything about that. Wildlife Photo Chat Raw. That's
Yes,
on
yes.
weekly too. So we try and both of those are just also around wildlife photography. So we talk about just all sorts of wildlife things.
And you know what? I think I don't know if you guys realize, but or maybe you do realize it. That's why you did it. It's These shows are so influential with respect to a number of things when it comes to also like we start in photography and to hear people talk about all of those things, even like the casualties
Yeah,
of like hanging out, having a coffee, or
yeah,
things that how does a wildlife photographer think? It's very helpful for
right.
somebody else to kind of think, to kind of like see and engage. And I think so. I think you're doing uh, such a contribution with those shows. And I know
Oh, thank you.
Ray has his own show. I mean, Ray, it's and everything. It's amazing. So hard to keep up with. It's amazing.
He's trying. He's got
It's
too much going on, so he's
amazing.
trying to get back
I'm like,
into doing all those things.
yeah, I'm like, how does this guy? I mean, how is he doing? It's
Yeah,
amazing.
I
So
know.
so yeah, thank you for doing those things, because they're really, and then you guys keep it very casual. You keep it very
Yeah, that's
down.
what I was.
I
Yeah, we try to
really
keep it conversational
really
and keep it light,
appreciate
and
that. And I think
yeah,
it's this breadth of this new age photographers, which eh, they keep it. Not everything has to be so serious. This is a passion. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, totally. Yeah,
We
and
can
that's
have fun.
definitely my
So
approach to
cool.
things
Yeah.
too. Yeah, yeah, to not be so serious, not like follow
But,
rules of like photography rules of, like I'm not a very technical person when it comes
mm,
to photography and like knowing all
yeah.
the you
So
know,
it opens the door.
technical stuff. And yeah, opens
Yeah,
the
it
doors for
opens the
everybody to
door.
be
Right. So
included
you
and
can also be very casual
not
about
be
this. You can,
intimidated.
yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really in that and then so many other levels. These talk shows that you guys have, this podcast, YouTube,
Yeah.
are amazing. So I encourage all of my friends. By the way, as I mentioned, my base community is more like in Europe, and now through
Yeah.
wildlife world photography photographers. I'm sorry, we are trying
Yeah.
to spread because I said, hey, if
Yeah.
folks are doing things in their own places, how about we can create a community that we can connect
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
those and I think that's just so amazing. So to me, it's been an added on purpose, if you will, with respect to not only photographing, which yes, like you said, around your home. That's so much happening that we don't know, especially at the
Right.
beginning. I wasn't even aware that you can just walk at the nearby park and there is so
Park. Yeah.
much, and then like in different seasons will you'll see different things. So
Right.
it's just it's amazing. Emily,
Yeah.
this was so great. Thank you for doing
Yeah.
this to meet
Thank you for
another
inviting me.
photographer. The energy, it's amazing. I enjoy what you're doing, also with Ray and the team as well. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I welcome. I will be sharing links of your YouTube channels and all
Oh,
the links
perfect.
that it's possible.
All the links.
Absolutely, all the links so folks can hear. And I think that's so empowering with respect to
Yeah.
and it's happening and in a level which is so casual, and I love it. It's not
Yeah.
structured necessarily with agendas and stuff. It's just people sharing their love for
Yeah.
photography, and that's amazing.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
you have a wonderful day. Say hi to Ray, by the way. And
I
to the guys, all the
will.
best and take care.
You too.